Good evening, nerds around the world. Welcome to episode 167 of the Nerds United One podcast. I'm your host, Paul English, and we have a great show for you. Like always, we are continuing our interrogation-themed series of episodes, this time grilling each other with our number 2 favorite video games of all time. And joining me for this is the regular crew of Colton and Mike. What is going on this special day?
Yeah, not a whole lot.
Just trying to stay warm.
Me too.
Now, let's be happy today, and let's get this going. This is a great day to have some fun. So let's go. It's our number 2 favorite game. And quick reminder for everyone, let's quickly go through them. Mike, what's your pick?
Thief 2, The Metal Age.
Colton?
Spider-Man for the PlayStation 1.
Okay, and mine is Fallout 4. So Colton, I'm going to start with you. You're on the hot seat. Mike, what is your first question for Colton?
Okay. Simple enough. Why Spider-Man for the PS1?
Because, well, as you all remember, Spider-Man, he's my favorite superhero ever, and when that game came out, it was the first time I was able to actually play as Spider-Man. And sure, we've gotten way better games since then, but this game, it still really holds up, like the action, the scale of it all. It's very simple, kind of primitive, but at the same time, very, very effective, and it's like got some of my, favorite Spider-Man moments in it. And I don't think he does the voice. I don't think he's done the voice since, but Bruno Romano, I think he's like a very good Peter Parker Spider-Man and what have you. I think the only other time he voiced the character was for Spider-Man Unlimited, and it's kind of a shame because he's very good in the role, I think. We also got a couple other role reprisals, like Jennifer Hale was Black Cat again, and Ephraim Zimbalist Jr. was Dr. Octopus, and that was pretty nice. It's just got a whole lot of nostalgic value for me that I would happily play this game again if I, still had my PlayStation and I still had a copy of the game.
Okay. My first question basically is, what is it about this game that sucked you in for the first time and made you say, I am going to be playing this all day for weeks?
Well, like I said, it was my first experience playing a Spider-Man video game, but probably the bit that really dragged me in and had me just all psyched and ready to go was when we heard Stan the Man Lee's opening narration. He's like, "Welcome, true believers and newcomers alike. Spider-Man co-creator Stan Lee here. Once again, we find our hero Peter Parker, better known around the world as the Amazing Spider-Man, in a heap of trouble." And that was the first time I had ever heard Stan Lee's voice, and I was like, I don't know who this guy is, but this is a very good way to hype up the game and what have you. Mm. And then from that point on, when we seen Peter getting framed for a crime he didn't commit, par for the course of Spider-Man history, I guess, to seeing those police choppers getting blown up, to him having to stop a bomb from going off, I was like, all of that was just very, very exciting for the young adolescent Colton and what have you.
Okay, Mike, do you have another question?
Yes, I do. I don't know if there's kind of like an open world game over like level after level after level. But if it was a kind of level after level, what was your favorite level?
Yeah, it is a level after level game.
Okay.
We were nowhere near open worldness back in those days. But my favorite level was the bank heist. One of my favorite things about it is just how it's a very simplistic level, but it's got a lot of what you love about Spider-Man, just swinging to the rescue to save the day. It has nothing to do with the overall story, but I actually like that. It's a very good tutorial sort of stage, letting you get to know all the controls and just kick butt and just relax, because from that point on, after that, the game gets kind of ridiculously hard. Like not in a throw your controller across the room sort of way, but it's still very frustrating. So this was a pretty good balance and had a good challenge for not being too easy to it. And probably my favorite part of it was when you, like I said, when you get to stop the bomb from going off. And I always love how Peter says, "Not this time, guys," after he stopped it, almost as if the game designers knew that the players are probably going to screw up the first time and the bomb was going to go off or something. So after that, it's like, okay, this time he figured it out, not this time.
All right. So you mentioned this game is very nostalgic for you. So my second question is this. Take off your nostalgia glasses for a moment. What's the one thing about this game you really hate?
I hated the freaking symbiotes. Specifically, the level that takes place in the elevator shaft. It's the one level in the game where you cannot avoid the symbiotes. You have to fight them. And no matter what level of difficulty you're on, okay, maybe on easy, but definitely on normal mode, and especially hard mode, those things are damn near impossible to take out. I know it's like deliberate, like the symbiotes are supposed to be tough, but at some point you're like, oh, we just die already. How many hits are you guys can people take? It gets like there's like probably one of my favorite lines in the game actually is that maybe a minute into the elevator shaft, Peter, when the symbiotes keep dropping down, Peter's like, yeah, that's nice. When are you guys gonna stop? Yeah, that was a level that I saw numerous game overs during that stage.
Okay, then. Mike, do you have a final question for Colton?
What is your favorite like kind of side character in the game?
My favorite side character, probably Black Cat. Like, she's not in the game for too long, but it was just back then when I was playing the game, I never. This was like my first time like hearing role reprisals and all that jazz. So it was great to hear.
And he throws on us.
But I will agree with him. Jennifer Hale is one of my all-time favorite voice actors.
Okay. So I really don't have a third question. So unless you have a fourth one, Mike, I think we'll leave Colton off the hot seat.
No, there you are.
There he is.
Okay. Like I said, and I liked let me quickly finish off before I freeze again. I liked the her and Peter's back and forth, Peter and Spider-Man's back and forth throughout the game, especially when she like offers to go after Rhino so that Spider-Man can go fight Venom and save Mary Jane. But he's like, no, I'm not gonna let you do it by yourself. Being Spider-Man is it's like not. He couldn't live with himself if something bad happened to her because he didn't act and what have you. So yeah, really liked her.
Okay, I'm all set. So Colton, you're off the hot seat, and Mike, I'm going to put you back on, and you're going to be on now. And Colton, you can start it off. What's your first question for Mike?
All right. So we're on our number 2 favorite games ever. So what is it about this game that really puts it above the rest?
Well, I mean, I love kind of all the games equally, but I mean, this one is always going to have a special place in my heart. I mean, the first Thief game was ridiculously fun as well, but there were quite a few levels where it's like, yeah, I get it. You're in a zombie infested area. You've got to try and avoid them, and you can kill them with holy water and whatever. There were so many levels that were just kind of unnecessary and just didn't really feel right. This one, with the second one, they kind of fixed all that, and every single level just felt like you were playing a thief, or sort of like almost like a secret agent type thing. This one, they learned all the lessons from the first game and they got it right almost every single level, and it was just the first game that just not only drew me in but made me want to go back and play it again and again and again.
Okay. All right, Mike, my first question is this. So this is Thief 2. Mm-hmm. So what is it, in your opinion, that makes it better than the first one?
Yeah, like I just said, they kind of fixed it so that like all the levels were more. It felt more like you were playing a thief in every single level rather than this one. You're a thief. Oh, now you're trying to sneak through a haunted cemetery. Okay, why do you need a thief to sneak through a haunted cemetery? You need Ghostbuster for that. No, this one you're playing a thief. You have to use your thief skills to kind of figure out what's happening in the city and try and solve the problem. And even for the very final mission, you still need to use your thief skills to sneak through this and figure out and find a way to stop the main bad guy. So this one, they really kind of figured out every single level and really made it work.
Okay, Colton, do you have another question for Mike?
Yeah, I'm gonna try. This is gonna be a bit of an unorthodox question, but I'm gonna try to mix it up a little. What would you say is something that you liked about your least favorite part of the game?
Liked about my least favorite part of the game. All right. Well. There. That is an interesting question. I would say like one of the kind of the pros and the cons is the level. Some of the level designs they're very large. I mean, these one. I mean, one level could take 2.5 hours to get through if you're actually kind of playing fully thief mode. And while that makes it a very immersive experience, it's not something I'm just going to sit down and play for a little bit. No, you have to invest a lot of time in playing it because especially if you play at the hardest level, which quite frankly is the most fun. You have the least amount of health, so that if you get into a one-on-one confrontation with a lot of the guards, you're probably not going to end out well. So the best part is to stick to the shadows, find out where they're moving, sneak up, blackjack them when you can, knock them out, and then hide their bodies. And just you really have to take your time, just creep through each level, which makes it a much more immersive experience, but also it takes a lot of time. I'm playing the game itself is like 15 levels, so if you really want to play through the entire thing, it could take you maybe 45, 50 hours, maybe. If you really want to, dig in.
Okay. But my second question is something you just need to say. So you mentioned that there's a lot of sneaking around going in this game. That's pretty much what you're doing the whole game. Were there any moments where you're like, okay, screw this stealth stuff. Let me just kill some shit.
Yeah. There's actually one of my least favorite levels. You're kind of like sneaking through this kind of underground city, which you actually visit first time in the first game, but here it's been a little bit more developed by one of the factions in this, and that you encounter in the second game, and it's definitely not my favorite level at all. It's probably my least favorite because there are like moments where you're hiding and you see this little like a floating fireball, and you have to you have to hit it with a water arrow and that'll put it out. But there are also like these giant lizards that walk around, and if they spot you, they like breathe toxic gas at you. So you have to hit them with either run it and nail them with your sword a few times, or hit them with a couple of fire arrows. And it's basically forces you to you got to go run in and charge and kill them all, or try and sneak around them, which is not always the easiest part. And so for me, I prefer the parts where you have to sneak. Going full attack it's annoying because the bad guys are always a little bit stronger than you.
Okay. Colton, did you have a final question for Mike?
What would you say is your favorite gameplay mechanic in the game?
The bad guy AI is pretty fun because like if they notice if you like don't hide a body very well, they'll start hunting around for you, and they'll sneak in, walk into the shadows and try and find you around. And so you really have to think, okay, I've got to hide it really well in the shadows over here, and I got to make sure that it's not somewhere that another guard will actually start patrolling. And I gotta avoid the gaze of the cameras as they move around. So the stealth mechanic is definitely the strong point of this game, and it's really there's no really other reason to play it. I mean, this game this one and the first one kind of created the genre of first person sneaker instead of first person shooter, which you then get from like what were those games with the spy with the three
Splinter Cell?
Yeah, Splinter Cell. Yeah, Splinter Cell is kind of like a spiritual successor of this game.
Cool.
So my final question is this, quite simply: Have you heard any words about a Thief 3? And if so, will you get it when it comes out?
Oh yeah, they did make a Thief 3, which it was still fun. Wasn't quite as good as this one, and they actually did kind of make a Thief 4. They just called it Thief, and that was actually for the I want to say PS3 and Xbox 360. And it was fun. I've actually never beaten it because one level just freaked me out so much that I just stopped playing and I never went back. You're in an abandoned insane asylum, and there are some weird things that go on. I mean, there's one point you walk onto a stage, you open up a chest, and you turn around, and there's just a whole bunch of mannequins surrounding you. I'm like,
the heck?
It literally made me jump. And I was like, you know what? I don't think I'm brave enough to play this game anymore. But I guess that game didn't sell as well as they wanted to, so there's never been talk about a Thief 5. I would love for them to do something more with the IP. It was really fun, but this was done by IDOS and Looking Glass, and Looking Glass I don't think exists anymore. And IDOS, I don't really think they exist too much anymore either. So I don't know exactly who owns the rights to this game anymore. So not sure if there's going to be any more Thief games.
Well, you can always hope, I suppose. All right, Mike. So you are all set, and let's bring in the latecomer. It is Jack. What's going on?
Sorry, boys. What's up? Sounds like you guys are having fun.
Yeah, we are, and we're gonna put you right into the fire. Guess what? You're next on the hot seat. So remind us all what your game is.
Batman Arkham City.
Okay. Mike, I'm going to let you go first. What's your first question for Jack?
All right. How do you think Arkham City improved upon the stuff from Arkham Asylum?
One thing I think it really improved upon was the combat, being able to, use beatdowns and other stuff, and then just the combat improves a lot. And then, other things, like it was nice to be able to move around in a bigger environment instead of being stuck on one island, which works for one game, but if you want to go bigger, you got to go somewhere else.
Okay. Colton, what is your first question?
All right, so this is your number 2 favorite video game. What is it about this game that really puts it above everything else?
It's my favorite Batman game, like ever. I mean, when you have the voice acting of Kevin Conroy, and Mark Hamill. I mean, that really boosts it up a lot. The story is a lot of fun with a lot of twists and turns. And then they involve, approved like combat and stealth, giving you a lot more options to take people down with.
Cool.
Okay. My first question is, how did you like the story of this game?
I loved it because you start off and you just get arrested and you're thrown in to Arkham City, where they have thrown every single criminal in there, even the crazy people like Riddler, Joker, Harley, Mr. Freeze, they're all in there. And you have to find out about a plot called Protocol 10, and you have to stop it. And when you get in there, the villain, Professor Hugo Strange, says that he knows you're Bruce Wayne. And that's one way to start the game.
Wow. Okay. Sounds intense. Mike, what is your next question? Do you have another question?
Yeah. I know with this one, you could there were the occasional levels where you could play as Catwoman. Did you play and enjoy those levels as well, or would you prefer the Batman levels?
I mean, I like the Batman levels more, but the Catwoman was kind of fun. She had her own kind of combat, a little more acrobatic than Batman, just because of how she is, and she has her own limited amount of gadgets.
All right, Colton, do you have another question?
What was your favorite level of the game?
My favorite level is the Mr. Freeze boss fight, and they really went all out for this because you can only attack him one way, one time.
What was that?
So each time you have to attack him a different way. Like if you use a silent takedown, you can only do that once. If you do a ledge takedown, you won't be able to do it again because it'll freeze the entire ledge. So every time you attack him, he will counter attack, and you won't be able to do it. So you have to find different ways to take him down.
Yeah, that sounds pretty cool. No pun intended.
Oh, you intend that pun.
Hey, chill out, everybody.
Oh, come on. Okay. So, Jack, my second question is this. I'm pretty sure I've often told this, of all the Arkham games, Arkham City was probably the best one. So with that being said, was there anything about this game that you thought was weaker in comparison to the first one?
Not really. I felt like they improved a lot in combat, and I like the story more. So nothing really that I could think of.
Okay, Mike, do you have a final question for Jack?
I mean, I love Arkham City as well, but for me, the thing I really hate is trying to find all those freaking Riddler statues. Was there anything that you really disliked about the game?
Yeah, the Riddler things are annoying, but at least the good thing about them is they help you level up quickly if you're able to get them.
Okay. Colton, do you have a final question?
No, I'm good, actually.
As am I. So, Jack, you are off the hot seat. And I guess I'm up now. So, Mike, Colton, you already know my game. Jack, just a refresher, my pick is Fallout 4. So, Colton, I'm going to come to you first. What is your first question?
All right. Fallout 4. This is a simple question. I've asked, what is it about this game that puts it above the other 3 Fallouts?
I don't know. I've never played the others. This was my first Fallout.
Okay, never mind. Let me ask you a different question then. All right. What's it about this game that really elevates it above so many of the other video games that you've played?
So like what? Okay, I think it's just because it was in a way it was the first RPG open world RPG game that I've ever played. I mean, I played Assassin's Creed before, and I tried playing Super Mario RPG when I was a kid, but I couldn't get into it. This was like the first true open world RPG that I've ever played, and it just sucked me in that way that I really can do I can do what I feel like. Interesting. Plus, it also takes place in Boston, and I am a born and bred, unapologetic New Englander. New England, as far as I'm concerned, is the greatest region in the country. We have the best mountains, best oceans, best people, best food. We have the best everything. If you don't like it, fuck you. So, it's nice that it takes place in my home. So that was fun. That's what elevates it above so many other games to me. Mike, what is your first question?
Yeah, as you can see, I've been joined by an assistant here. So yeah, I know you're an unapologetic fan of Fallout 4. So I was kind of surprised when you put it as your number 2. So that means there must be something that holds it back from being number 1 in your eyes. What is that?
Okay, without giving too much away, my number 1 pick is an older game that I have that is part of a IP that I truly love, and so there's a nostalgia factor as part of it that I don't have with the Fallout franchise. And then as far as what itself holds it back, one of the big criticisms of this game is the element of choice really is gone from the others, and I can understand that because if you look at the vanilla endings, 3 of them are basically carbon copies of each other. It's not really till you get to the DLC that you really feel like the choices you make matter. So yeah, that's part of what holds it back for me.
All right, cool, thanks.
Jack, what's your first question?
I know from these games there's a lot of exploring and looking around. What's your favorite thing that you found while exploring?
I mean, like I said, the game takes place in a retro futuristic Boston. So I mean, seeing these landmarks in the game that look like landmarks in the real city that I love and visit so much. So seeing Diamond City, which is Fenway Park, or seeing the Mass Fusion building and the sign, which is a symbol for the Citgo sign, and the Boston Public Garden, and just all these landmarks in the game that and realize I know that. So I always got a thrill from that, just seeing these sites, and you're like, oh, I know what that is. I bet I've seen that. There's an enjoyment factor because it's my home and I love it. So yeah, kind of a vague answer. I apologize for that. All right, Colton, do you have another question?
Yeah. So since you've never played the other 3 Fallout games, what was it about Fallout 4 that attracted you to it, despite the fact that it's the 4th game of the series?
I think I already answered that for you. The fact that it takes place in Boston.
Oh, okay, then no. All right, then I'll ask a different question. Yeah. All right. What's your favorite? Do you have a favorite level in the game?
There's really no level in the game. It's kind of story driven, but I actually.
Right, what's your favorite story element of the game?
Story element?
Yeah, your favorite story beat. Your part of the narrative.
I mean, what do you mean by story element?
So, what's your favorite part of the narrative, then?
Oh, I mean, probably just the interactions I have with the companions you can pick up in certain situations, because some of them can offer very insightful commentary or sometimes just funny as hell commentary. And I get a kick out of traveling with the companions I have that you can get in this game. They tend to make situations more enjoyable. I don't know if that answered it.
Yeah, that answers me.
Okay, Mike, do you have another question?
Technically speaking, this is the 5th game.
Oh yeah, New Vegas.
Yep. So I have played Fallout 4 as well, and a very fun game. But one part it kind of turned me off was the building element.
Oh yeah.
Could you ever get Was that as much of a headache for you as it was for me? Because it was just so irritating.
It is a big headache unless you have the proper mods to make it a lot easier. If you can, and now that I have like a PC, I'm getting like much more mods. So if you can get like mods that give you like extra scrapping of material and add some new build items, it does become a lot more fun. And it's actually one of my favorite elements with the right selection of mods available. I enjoy it a whole lot. I enjoy buildings. I enjoy building these like mega settlements and having a bunch of people and all that stuff. So it can be a headache if you don't have the right mods available to it. But if you do, it becomes much more fun. And you can spend like hours crafting the perfect settlement.
Cool.
Jack, do you have another question?
Yeah. Who's your least favorite enemy to meet?
There's really, I wouldn't say there's like one that I hate. I mean, the Raiders can get kind of annoying just because they're everywhere and they're kind of pitiful. So, you know, especially once you get to high enough levels, you're like, okay, why am I dealing with guy just like you almost want to like take away your weapon and fight him fist to fist just to give yourself a challenge against him. But other than that, I mean, there's really no enemies that I thought were just annoying as hell. I suppose you can make an argument that the insects are kind of like, oh, jeez. Not too fond of those. But other than that, not really. There's no annoying enemies.
No Death Claws?
Oh, I enjoy fighting Death Claws. They're fun. All right. Colton, do you have a final question?
I know I'm good, actually. My questions have all been answered.
All right. Mike, do you have a final one?
Who's your favorite companion?
Piper. And I said that awfully quickly, so I want to clarify one thing. I enjoy a lot of the companions in this game. The only one I'm really not too fond of is X6, but a lot of the companions are thoroughly enjoyable. I mean, Nick, the private eye detective, Nick Valentine, you could do an entire playthrough just with him as a companion. He's just so much fun. I love how Codsworth says your name in the game. I'm like, from now on, all RPGs I play must have say your name by one companion. It's amazing to hear him say that. Curie is just adorable and how naive she is. Hancock is a cool dude that you would just want to get into a bar and have a beer with. But I really love Piper so much. Her backstory is meaningful. Her personality, her sense of pursuit of truth and justice is just so meaningful. You know, that I really, really care about this companion. And a lot of credit does have to go to her voice actress, Courtney Taylor. She did a fantastic job bringing this character to life. Like, she is someone that if this was a real person, I could see myself falling in love with. And that's why I love the mod install that allows you to marry your romance companion, because Piper is one of the companions you can romance. And with this mod install, you can actually marry her. That's really awesome. So yeah, I love Piper a lot.
Cool.
All right, Jack, do you have a final question?
I do not.
All right, guys, so that is going to wrap up our show. This was a lot of fun talking these games. Colton, I know you got places to be, so thank you very much for being here. And Colton froze. Mike, I know you got Geek Style to do, so I appreciate you making the time to be here.
Hey, not a problem. I still love being with these guys.
All right, and Jack, I know you were late, so thanks a lot for being here.
Am I unfrozen now?
Yes, you are.
Now you are.
Okay. It was great to be here, guys. I had a good time. Can't wait for number
Jack,
1.
I think Jack froze too. Okay, so we're going to end this right now, and we will see you next time where we do our number 1 favorite video game. This is going to be a whole lot of fun, so we'll see you for that. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.